You've been carrying a storm in your mind, overthinking, stressing, replaying every scenario, trying to figure out what only God can fix. But let me tell you something today. The weight you're carrying is not yours to bear. God is already in the details. He's already in your tomorrow. He's already handling it. Overthinking is the enemy's trap, designed to drain your peace, your clarity, and your faith. But today, God is saying, let it go. I've got this. This message is for the weary mind, the heavy heart, the restless soul. It's time to stop trying to control everything and start trusting the one who already holds everything in his hands. So if you've been stuck in your thoughts, trying to fix what only heaven can resolve, this is your divine interruption. God is already handling it. Now breathe and listen. There comes a point in your life where you're going to have to admit the simple but liberating truth. You are not in control. And I know that's not easy to accept, especially if you're the kind of person who loves to fix things, solve problems, and stay 10 steps ahead. You like to plan, predict, and provide answers. But what do you do when all your planning doesn't fix the problem? What do you do when no matter how much you think, worry, or analyze, it still doesn't change the outcome? That's when you have to remember this truth. Your mind can't fix what only God can finish. We wear ourselves out trying to solve what was never meant to be our assignment in the first place. We overthink, we stress, we try to manipulate outcomes, all in the name of being responsible. But what if I told you that some of what you're carrying isn't responsibility? It's control disguised as worry. Let me remind you of this. If it's God's work, then it's not your weight. If God started something in your life, it is his job to finish it. Philippians chapter 1 verse 6 says, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." That means if he began it, he'll complete it. If he called you, he'll equip you. If he opened the door, he'll sustain you through it. But here's the problem. Too many of us are trying to take control of things that were never meant to be in our hands. You're losing sleep over something God already settled in heaven. You're replaying conversations, trying to make sense of something that only makes sense from a spiritual perspective. You've gotten stuck in the cycle of overthinking because you're trying to figure out. You're saying, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I don't have what it takes? But let me ask you, when has worrying ever changed an outcome? When has stress ever solved the problem? Worry doesn't produce solutions. It just steals your strength, it drains your joy, and it clouds your ability to hear God clearly. God never asked you to figure it all out. He asked you to trust him. That's what faith is. Not knowing all the steps, but believing God is in every one of them. That's what peace is. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of the one who has already solved them. So I need you to take a deep breath right now and say this out loud. God is already handling it. Say it again. God is already handling it. You don't have to carry the weight of the world. You don't have to solve what only heaven can fix. You don't have to stay up all night wondering how it will work out. If God started this, he will complete it. If he called you to it, he will bring you through it. You don't need to control the outcome. You just need to obey, trust, and rest. Remember this, peace is not found in knowing every detail. Peace is found in knowing who your Father is. So stop overthinking. Stop replaying the past. Stop predicting the worst. God has already gone before you, and he's working even when you can't see it. So breathe, trust, and walk in peace, because God is already handling it. How many nights have you stayed up replaying the same situation over and over again in your mind? What if it doesn't happen? What if I fail? What if everything I hope for just falls apart? Let me ask you something real. Has worrying ever made things better? Has anxiety ever improved the outcome? The truth is, worry doesn't solve problems. It just steals your strength. It wears you out. It leaves you drained. And here's the deeper truth. God never called you to figure it all out. He called you to trust him. But some of us are caught in the trap of thinking, if we just think a little harder, plan a little better, work a little longer, maybe then we can control the outcome. But that's not faith. That's striving. And there's a difference, a deep, life-altering difference between striving and trusting. Faith doesn't require full understanding. Faith says, God, I don't know how, but I trust you will. Let's go back to the story of Peter walking on water. He did the impossible, walked on the very thing that should have drowned him. Not because he had it all figured out, but because his eyes were fixed on Jesus. But the moment he looked at the wind, the waves, the storm around him, the moment he started overthinking, he began to sink. And isn't that just like us? Overthinking will always make you sink. Not because God failed you, but because you shifted your focus, because you relied on your own understanding instead of trusting the one who called you. Some of you are sinking right now, not because you're weak, not because you're unworthy, but because you're trying to carry something you were never meant to hold. You're carrying burdens that belong to God. And here's the truth, when you try to carry what only God can handle, it will crush you. It will overwhelm you. Why? Because that weight was never yours to bear. Someone needs to hear this today. Put it down. Stop trying to fix what only God can finish. Stop carrying a burden that heaven already lifted. You're not your own provider. God is. You're not your own protector. God is. You're not the one holding your future. He is. I'll breathe, let go, and choose trust over control. Choose rest over restlessness. Because the peace you're looking for doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from surrendering to the one who does. And he's saying to you right now, I've got this. Stop overthinking. I'm already handling it. Let me remind you of something that will shift your entire perspective. God is the author of your life story. And if he started it, he's faithful to finish it. That alone should help you breathe easier. But we struggle with that, don't we? Because deep down, we want control. We want answers. We want movement on our timeline. We feel the pressure of urgency, but God operates on eternity's rhythm, not earthly rush. So here's the truth. You need to shift your mindset. Instead of trying to fix everything, trust him. Instead of trying to control everything, surrender it. Instead of running through every possible scenario in your mind, remind yourself, God is already handling it. Let's bring it closer to home. What's that one thing you've been overthinking lately? That one situation you keep playing over and over, trying to find the perfect solution, the right timing, the best outcome. Right now, I want you to do something very simple but powerful. Take a deep breath and release it. Tell yourself, I don't have to fix this. God is already working. But it might not look like it. It might not feel like it. But faith is not about what you see. It's about what you know. And here's what you need to know. God has not forgotten you. He hasn't abandoned you. He hasn't left you to figure this out alone. He is already working. When Jesus was on the cross, he didn't say, you finish it. He didn't say, you go figure it out. He said, it is finished. And if he could complete the greatest work of all time, the work of your salvation, then surely he can finish the good work he began in your life. So stop overthinking. Stop trying to force what's already been settled in heaven. Stop wearing yourself out, trying to figure out what only God can fulfill. Your mind is powerful, but it was never meant to carry what only God can complete. Let go, trust him, and give him the space to do what only he can do. See, part of our problem is this. Uncertainty makes us uncomfortable. We want to know, we want clarity. We want full visibility before we even take the first step. But faith doesn't work like that. If you had all the answers, you wouldn't need to trust God. So instead of chasing clarity, start chasing confidence in God. Instead of demanding details, rest in the fact that the designer knows the whole plan. You may feel stuck right now. You may feel delayed. But delay is not denial. God is never late. His timing is perfect. And here's the powerful truth. When you stop forcing your plan and start trusting God's process, peace will follow. Because His plan is not rushed. His pace is not pressured. And His purpose will never be interrupted by your timeline. So breathe, trust, release. God's got this. His timing will always be greater than your urgency. Let Him finish what He started. We live in a world that tells us we need to have everything figured out before we make a move. We want answers. We want certainty. We want the full roadmap before we take the first step. But let me remind you of something profound. If you could figure it all out, you wouldn't need faith. If you knew every step of the journey in advance, there would be no need to trust God. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting God when you don't. Some of us have been paralyzed by the need for clarity. We keep telling God, I'll step out when you explain the plan. I'll obey once I know how this ends. I'll trust you as soon as you show me how it's going to work out. But let's be honest, that's not faith. That's control. And control is the opposite of trust. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 says, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Did you catch that? It doesn't say faith is confidence in what we understand. It doesn't say faith is assurance in what we can explain. Faith is about trusting in what we cannot see. There will be moments when you won't have the full picture. There will be seasons when nothing makes sense, when you don't understand what God is doing or why it's happening this way. But that's when real faith is tested. That's when you must lean on His character instead of your own understanding. And that's when you learn to walk by faith, not by sight. Think about Abraham. God told him to leave his home, his family, everything familiar, and go to a land that God would show him. God didn't give Abraham a full itinerary. There was no step-by-step blueprint, no visible map, just a promise and a call to obedience. And Abraham had a choice. He could have waited for every detail before he moved, or he could trust the one who called him. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 8 says, by faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place, not knowing where he was going. Did you catch that? He went not knowing. That's faith. That's surrender. That's trust. You don't need to solve it all. You don't need to control it all. What you need is to trust the God who sees what you can't see, who knows what you don't know, and who already holds the outcome in His hands. Let go of the pressure to have it all figured out. Let go of the illusion that it all depends on you, and take that next step, not because you understand it all, but because you trust the one who does.